Welcome to the Roth Show. Brought to you by Ink the Original. InkTheOriginal.com. Love those tattoos, baby. DavidLeeRoth.com. The Roth Show. Backed by popular demand. We're not just a show, baby. We're a brand. Okay, routinely when you approach people, you should always ask them, do you have a dash joke? When you approach your attorney, do you have any lawyer jokes? You'd be surprised. Everybody has their own kind of a thing, right? If you approach a policeman or a fireman, a doctor, you'd be surprised. Some people completely blanch away and go, no, I'm very serious about it. And others go, oh, sure, I can tell you the best rabbi joke in history. And you'll hear it from a rabbi, particularly in New York, particularly from a Jewish one. I see the look. Tom's not Jewish. Okay. How many lead singers does it take to put in a light bulb? 26. That's the first guest right there. 25 others are arriving, and I'm going to need somebody to hold the ladder. I used the ambient. That's like tactics. I'm using the circumstances to my advantage. Come on. How many lead singers does it take to put in a light bulb? Just one. We hold the bulb and the world revolves around me. Roth, The Roth Show. You're listening to David Lee Roth, The Roth Show. Broadcasting short distance from me to you. The Roth Show. Brought to you by Ink the Original. InkTheOriginal.com. Laugh to win, baby. And I love those tattoos. 1, 2. Check 1, 2. And then you can alter this. You know what? This is a little more friendly visually right here. And see this hat? Are we rolling? Okay, see this hat? It's a professional hat. No, when you hear this, you hear that? Boom. You're too close. Kiss it and you miss it, but nose it and you blow it. These are technical singer terms here. Okay. However, when you sing live, a lot of people make the what I consider the stagecraft error of they try and sing like you sing on television, which is about 6 and 8.5 inches off of the microphone. And you're watching Lady Gaga / Streisand / Roberta Flack singing. That's female vocalist. You see Tony Bennett, Sinatra, Elvis, and they sing 6, 8 inches off the mic. And especially when they get louder, sometimes it holds, but that's television. And the band behind them is at television volume, union volume, especially the brass. They're not paying us enough for loud, not really loud. Right, and you've got so many managers and agents and record company friends and everybody around making sure we hear Tina. Translate that to him. And you'll hear that on television stations and everything around the world. But the fact is, when you're really dealing it live, if you can't feel it, you won't deal it. You got to have your nose right on that microphone. And here it's just a little much because we're broadcasters. That sounds pretty good, actually. And see, but I have a Jewish nose, so it's a little bit longer, and it's perfect for music. Now, genetically, I'm engineered, Tom. I'm sitting here with Tom, our engineer, director of all electronical digital affairs. Tom Swarovski, your father invented the champagne.
Exactly.
Okay, Cristal. Okay, he didn't, but you would still take a sip.
I would.
Right?
Absolutely.
Okay, well, it's interesting that you would drink it, yet you distance yourself from it. I'm desperately trying to be insensitive. How am I doing?
Fantastic.
I drink scotch. I'm a scotch man. I enjoy Macallan. Used to be 12. I've moved to the 18 so that in case there's a selfie, you see an 18 on the label. We live in R. Kelly times. Too soon? No?
Don't think so.
Never.
Yeah.
Okay. But just in case, there's no clues. Because as soon as you hear this stuff about the Michael Jacksons and the Kellys, and it's ad infinitum, which is Latin for endless. And now you're going to go back and you're going to look for clues. You hear stuff about, you know what? You know what that guy used to eat for breakfast? You're kidding. And now you go watch every video that individual made looking for clues. There, right there. Rhubarb. Check that face out. You know, do you know, well, you know what rhubarb is, okay, from the Midwest, okay? What part of the Midwest do you come from here?
I come from Cleveland, Ohio.
Cleveland, Ohio. So you know what rhubarb, especially rhubarb pie.
Absolutely.
And you know the expression, like my favorite waitress, who would lean over right as I was finishing my cheeseburger and fries a little too far and go, "Save your fork, honey, there's pie." You understand implicitly from the Midwest, she had no intention of meaning rhubarb. Or maybe she did, in a poetic sense. It was like a metaphor. Okay. We were in a Thai restaurant on the far edge of Hollywood Boulevard, in Hollywood, of course. And Hollywood Boulevard, it's variegates like color, not based on ethnicity, but in the middle, it's really bright and Vegas lit up, blown away, etc. And something occurs to me. I'm not trying to demonize Tom's role here. I am for the people, of the people. Even though I used to work for the man every night and day, now I am the man. The reason you can't really hear Tom is because he didn't bring a microphone. This is not like a proletariat now that I'm the man thing. But it could be. Rolling, rolling. Probably not good to imitate Ike Turner.
Probably
Not
not.
now?
Not now.
Never.
Probably never.
It's a long list today. That one too?
Yeah.
It's a long list. Okay, I'm on a couple of lists. I used to be on Who's Who. And then I was around for so long, I wound up on Who's That. And now that we're going to be drum major and leading the way at the Ultra Festival, we're right up there in Oh No, Not Him Again, which is in 82 languages, which is about 1/3 of the languages and the tribes and the haircuts and the shoes that will be represented at the Ultra Festival, which by the time you hear these stentorian tones, we will have led the way on yet another generational prison break. Glad to be of assistance. Here's my card. There actually was a helicopter prison break in 1971 at Santa Maria Prison let me see if I can say it. Aticlata. No, I'm trying to go off of my memory. Yo hablo suficiente español, perro. In Santa Maria Prison in Mexico, just outside of Mexico City, fella landed a helicopter and running out of Block 10. Two guys, a counterfeiter and somebody else who was somehow linked up. Come on, get on, check your shoe phone. You're connected to the digigrid here, digital. Me, I got to tell you this, me and my boomer humor. But what was I talking about originally? Do you recollect?
You were talking about the Ultra Festival, and you
Okay, well, maybe these pauses are important because like the ancient Comanche legend, do you want me to do it with a Comanche accent?
Please.
Is that insensitive?
Yes. No.
Not now?
Maybe.
Dear sea bear. Never sea bear before. Sounds a little Hawaiian. It's a Hawaiian Indian. And dear say to bear, who are you? And bear hold up big hands and say, I am bear. And deer say, why the long pause? You're going to have to edit out a lot of these gaps. Or maybe the pauses are the best part. I get a lot of email, whatever. Used to be cards and letters that say the pauses were their favorite part of my performance. And it was my own mom who used to say, Dave, you're as popular in between the songs. She knows, she's my best critic. You're as popular or more so in between the songs when there's no music. I thought, well, we charge a certain amount for music and then nothing in between. What if I shorten the music, extend the nothing, and charge more? Don't laugh. That's how I paid for the glasses. They're from Italy. Pretty soon, most of the show was no music or anything. And I was rolling in the dough. I started charging for not rehearsing. I didn't hire anybody extensively. Now, that's an old Groucho Marx routine, but today you understand that's what we mean by oblique humor. You got like, what? Could that really exist? Yes, like David Lee Roth at the Ultra Festival. Wait a minute, let me try that one again. I'm going to self-edit. You have to sample the tape sound now.
Yeah.
Which is how my parents said, which is how everybody sounds till happy hour. It's backwards, makes no sense, but this is my life. You're listening to Roth. I'm going to call myself Roth. Just Roth, no the. I used to be the Roth. And I am brought to you by Inc., the original. And I would prefer you would say it that way. I mean, it's not a logo, it's an expression, you know. Behold. I spent a lot of time as a kid practicing that kind of a voice. And behold. And here in Southern California, you would use the same exact voice to imitate 24 horas. Can you hear the reverberation in the background? We could have an actual job for that. There's a show called 24 Hours. Aquí lo tienes. That was on KWKW, the only Spanish-speaking station, which was like AM radio all the way through the 60s, 70s, and I might be getting the letters wrong, which is even more insightful if you're wondering what's going on in my head. If I've been laboring under an illusion this long, that's even more entertaining. In a Dr. Drew, Dr. Phil kind of a world, whatever. And those voices were part of the voices that we would imitate. We would imitate Wolfman Jack. But I knew Wolfman Jack from being in the a bunkhouse in my first, quote, work-related environment. I was 12 years old. I was a little out of control. And it was up in Bend, Oregon, at the Horseshoe Ranch. And there were about, 20 of us in the bunkhouse. It was one of those work-related environments where you were assigned a specific horse, a specific cow to take care of, and I learned the way of things. Learned how to clean up, learned how to smoke Marlboro cigarettes, learned how to spit, swear, wrestle my way out of half of my cause. I learned how to dig irrigation ditches, and I learned how to dig more irrigation ditches, and I could fucking teach you how to place irrigation ditch. And I had a ball. I miss it to death. Sat on a stump listening to a combat Marine who had just come back from Vietnam tell us stories of what it really meant to be a soldier. And this was 1966. I guess I'm the guy on the stump now. It's part of the tradition. Stories, things to learn. We talk about cross-training in one of the recent interviews. And if you understand some of the root, then you can understand some of, I don't know, what do we say in a MedMen environment? Some of the buds, bud. Roth, The Roth Show, brought to you by Inc., the original. And we prefer you say it that way. Inc., the original. That one was even a little better. Nice. Love your tattoos. Armin van Buren sends us a track, and it's a remix. I'm hesitant to use the word dance because that's hyper-specific for a neighborhood that is no longer specific. Used to say rock and roll, and that meant, okay, Stones, Zeppelin. Okay, you could count it on two hands, and that's the classic rock regime. Today, it's everything from Metallica to what are the most extremes? Chili Peppers to Metallica, Van Halen to Toto. They all list in the rock and roll department, okay? That's a lot of t-shirts in a single drawer. And when you talk about danceable music, it's about 55 different genres. Go to Beatport. We resort to Beat Portal and download. There's got to be 15 different categories that reflect to when you do this with my hips. Don't look. And we'll call it floor. If it's floor, then I'm in tune with it. My life has been an extension of one long hardwood floor, whether you're practicing Taekwondo or whether you're stretching and getting ready for every 1 hour that you're going to do on the deck. In front of the people, you'll do 4 hours on that floor. Warming up, stretching. They're going to give you 50 reasons to get back on the floor. Plyometrics, we can charge a little more for that. Yoga, that's better than stretching. Add a zero. Do I seem bitter? Flinty? Salty? Really? But one long hardwood floor. The best is cherry and maple wood with a little bit of give. Doesn't matter if you're practicing kendo or you're jitterbugging with Frankie Manning and, the Lindy Blasters, etc. Just a little bit of give. Right down off of La Brea. And I keep sidebarring here because there's no adult supervision. I am known as Lawrence of La Brea sometimes. The girls at Henson Studio, I know they do. I'm not supposed to know. They refer to me without a trace of irony as Lawrence of La Brea. The California Casanova, that's parentheses. They don't always say the parentheses. But right below Wilshire, off of La Brea, off to the right, there's a construction site right now there. There's Dance Academy that dates back to right around 1918, 1920 or something like that. And if you go into the big bounce room, I call it, all the way in the back, it's big enough for 50 people to practice and do whatever for, out on Broadway or a video. A lot of work there, that kind of thing. Then you go into the back and you can see folks wrote their names with the dates, 1924. And then they were hoping and dreaming even back then. If you go into those rooms now, and they do everything from Zumba, Roomba, ballroom, they're practicing Tai Chi and Kung Fu, and it's all floor. Most of it is accompanied by music, even brutal stuff like Muay Thai. There's music all the way through. It's sustained throughout. It's part of the event. I guess in effect, it sounds, I don't know, the music that they play for Muay Thai, look all of this up as you wander through the grid. Not you, Tom. The 10 million other folks who are here. This is a little self-centered, Tom. Stay focused. The music that they play during Muay Thai, it doesn't sound so much the way the visual event transpires for me, but it strikes me that if you get really clocked with one of those elbows, that's what it'll sound like in your head. Or on the way to the ambulance, or... And yes, that did happen to me. Pantry boxing. Do you know what it is? Pantry boxing dates back to the Victorian era, when overly expensive trust fund guppies who can't live outside the bowl learned fisticuffs in the Marquis de Queensberry pugilism. The last guys who want a mark on their face, or whose parents will tolerate one. You want me to do it with the accent? Is it insensitive to do it with?
No, it's perfectly appropriate.
Outstanding. And some character, the trust fund kids, would force the butlers or the chauffeurs or the stable hands to box. And no stable hand or anybody in charge of the horses or the carriage is going to leave a mark on little Lord Fauntleroy's front bumper. You'll more than lose your job. So it's a complete falsehood. It's pantry boxing. They go out behind the pantry and wrap up, and some trust fund kid gets to beat up on the staff. That's what you mean by pantry boxing. So I started martial arts my 12th birthday, literally on that, I think it was a Thursday, a Tuesday, something like that. Okay, right up the street here. and continued on in all the different styles. What you see on stage is all forms. Wushu, which is the Chinese national sport. No, we're not all doing fist-to-face confrontation, okay? That may be a great way to work things out, and peace, love, and the Marine Corps. I believe in all three, and you need all three to establish all three. You might need the Marines, ironically enough, to make sure there's enough peace and love that we can all go home, smoke pot, and attend the Ultra Festival. Now, I'm paraphrasing, but I think it says that in somebody's code. It's why we fight, Tom. Stop lying. Your pop wore a uniform, and I say it with respect, right? Okay. My dad did too. He's Air Force. All right. I didn't. Like I said, I want a full disclosure here that primarily musically, I was sexually inappropriate with an entire generation, as often as possible. Well, in a sense, they paid for it. Don't love me, baby. Rent me. Roth Radio. We're here. Okay, the original subject was, I keep getting us lost, okay? And I want to show you what this happens. It's not that I'm lost. Okay, we would do this with our bicycles around the world, and I take my bicycles, not motorbikes, bicycles around the world, and I've been doing this for 40 summers, okay? I put them in the trucks. And we would travel, and the hotels, half the fun is being where you don't know where you are. Kind of know where you're going. Take the traveler and the tourist. The essential difference is the tourist doesn't know where he is. I'm a traveler. I don't know where I'm going. But I'm comfortable where I am. And we would head out on those bicycles to, say, Savannah, Georgia, in Deep South, and go for 3.5 hours with no intention of swimming back. If that's on your mind, you're not paying attention as 100% as you could be. Fair enough. One of the reasons I see so much around me is because I'm not looking for a place to park. All right, I promised no poetry. No, that was metaphysics, I promised, before happy hour. None of that. Poetry at all times. I have a license. Don't make me use it. By the time you hear this, we can talk about it in public because it's top secret, and up until now, we've been making sure everybody knows that we're not talking. In the age of the intergrid, this is how we do it. I used to know a guy named Duet, Howard Duet. And we would introduce him at the prom. This is how we do it, which is not true, but it could be. I'll tell you a true great name. A fella who's a DJ. I hear him on the, what is it? It's satellite, right? That does Sirius XM. And his name is Valentino Khan. Now, just like Wolfman Jack, one of the greats, you couldn't possibly imagine what this individual looks like. You think you could. And then you discovered that Wolfman Jack had a pompadour and he was kind of like out of grease or something. And we would imitate him. Valentino Khan comes from New Jersey, and it's a great name, right? Okay, I'm thinking ahead. Clearly he has a great career or he wouldn't be on the air. And his taste is great. Dig into his top 10 lists. This guy, I went and found a couple of songs from his list. It's really great taste. Valentino Khan. But as your agent, you should start a parallel career as Kenny Valentino. And without a trace of funny. Get some sideburns and a mustache and do the serious 70s shit, right? Shaka Khan, I'm Every Woman, you follow. There's serious, good music. This time, baby, you dig? Warehouse List, that kind of thing. And play that edge, but a little bit more serious. There was just a James Franco series that was on about the 70s, The Deuce. And if you play that for a little bit more, you can run a parallel career. And frankly, with my sense of humor, if I had a grandkid or a kid or whatever, and he was going to have a bar mitzvah, just my left of center sense of humor would rather hire somebody named Kenny Valentino with too much of whatever that is in his hair. Just saying, Valentino Khan, try him on. Oh, you hear that? Well, my first time in the spotlight was from a helicopter, Tom. More about that later. Don't go away. We'll chase you. We'll track you down. We'll do a takedown. great people rarely arrives all together. Somebody crosses the finish line first, victorious, and a great people, a great nation arrives on their shoulders. Sometimes they don't even cross the finish line at all. Still victorious. We're taping, right?
We're taping right now, yes.
Nobody actually tapes anymore. It's not tape.
It's not tape.
The only tape is on, the box that your Pro Tools came in.
Exactly.
That's not even tape. That's a cellulose adhesive made by slaves. Like your coffee. Too soon?
This is the truth.
No, I mean source of humor. Never?
Never.
My source of humor was made by slaves, Tom. In a sense. You think I'm joking, right? Hold on, I'll get to the bottom of this. You're the one who gave me the microphone. Okay, you set it up. Yeah, I asked for it, but you enabled me. And now we're going to lead a generational prison break, and it's going to start at Ultra. Ultra. Anybody who knows me, anybody who knows anything about me knows all about my fascination with the floor. And it didn't even start intentionally. It starts off, everybody who goes to Gold's Gym, there's only 3 kinds of music that play. And if it's one of the kinds that we're all thinking of, you can't get away from Van Halen. We're on every 3 hours. Stop lying. We're going to run with the devil right after this. Nobody blinks. Okay? It's classic rock. We're on 9 different channels, perhaps, of the Sirius XM, and that context is wildly different because it's more about the attitude and the spirit and the drive than it is the actual kinds of music. A lot of kinds of music are really, really geographically specific. Can't take it out of its environment, all right? My classic Van Halen music is off-road, rain-proof, and can make taxi fare for your girlfriend in 82 languages. Let me punch it in. That's 180,000 yen. Accepts 9 different kinds of petrol. Runs on Kentucky Fried Chicken. No, not the oil, the chicken. Just put the whole thing in there. Swims. You get take you up a vertical wall. 2 miles an hour is never so fucking exciting in your life, son. And I don't mean new. That's what dogs are for, to get the new smell out of your truck. Get comfortable, right? Interestingly enough, I think the most popular channel on the satellite, and this is what I listened to because I got rid of television. You know that. I pulled the plug. I discerned that I wasn't painting, drawing, dancing, reading, actually, more than anything, enough. I was spending a lot of my time watching reruns of things I'd already basically learned. You see shows so often, sometimes on HBO, that you actually learn the libretto, you learn the script. There are movies that we know that people will quote. There are even movies that contain people quoting the movies, like Boiler Room, where they're quoting Wall Street. They're not even watching the movie anymore, okay? I've been on islands in the tropics where it became so familiar you could drive your ride your bicycle all the way around the island in the space of 1 hour. I had been on that island so long, camping, okay, that I knew every tree and every stone. After a while, I started naming the trees. And you kind of get a Count of Monte Cristo thing that I saw as creative, others would see as clinical depression. Like Springsteen's wardrobe. Some would say that frees him to live and breathe as an artist. I see 25 long sleeve black shirts, 25 pairs of 517 boot cuts. That's clinical depression. 2 opposites equal the same thing, usually right here on Roth. When I learned Japanese, I called it Roth University, and I was at the Oakwood Garden Apartments, just like I started in here on Barham back in, wow, before Van Halen made our first record. That's where you went. It was the cheapest place, all included. You know, it's still there. Oakwood Garden Apartments are all over the world. And they're in Tokyo. And the one in Midtown is very shishi. Okay, that's French. That's not Japanese. I saw the look. No, it's very real. And English is spoken by most of the staff. So you have a lot of the well-placed, the individual who's in charge of Mercedes-Benz Sales Asia, the guy and his wife, oddly enough, from Savannah, Georgia. You run into everybody in the park at 5 a.m. We either got jet lag or you got to walk the dog. You know, I took my dog, Russ, took my guitar. People say, where do you live? Where's the dog? That's where I live. And every morning, 5 mornings a week, I did language lessons at Roth University. You might know it as apartment 5417, whatever. You think a little bigger than that, Tom. Roth University. And we would do a couple hours, 5 mornings a week. And you learn the basics of Japanese. How do you do, where is the building, in front of, in back of, head, hand, toe, etc. But I did have to share with Nori-san Sensei, that I'm a kind of a boss. Working for the man? Well, now I'm the man, I guess. And I can't really be asking, where is the library? And stumbling. Could you please tell me what doesn't sound very boss-like. So we made long lists of things that I would use in my end of show business, specifically because it's particular to what I do, to my context. It's different than a lot of other jobs. Not like being doctor, lawyer, Indian chief, first responder. It's very different. So I had to learn how to say things like, Koki ni suruna, atama oka shinjanaki oteme, which means, don't make a fool of me. Are you out of your fucking mind? And you have no idea how often I would use that kind of stuff. I would translate Brooklyn expressions like I start, most of my meetings with in English. I start all of my meetings with this next question in English. Why not translate it into Japanese and start this was my thinking at the time. What was I thinking? Which is Brooklyn Japanese for, all right, what are we pretending to not know today? Which is essentially not a Japanese posture at the beginning of any meeting. But in Brooklyn, it's nobody blinks. Because we're all hiding something, fucking A, boss. But really, in terms of the positive, Baptist expressions, that I would use when we toast. You have a couple of beers. Jesus, what would be one of my toasts? Let me think. You got to be strong to walk on through the night. You got to be strong to walk through the night. But friends, there's a new day on the other side. And whenever I would say that, the folks would glaze over and they go, this is samurai. And I go, well, Foursquare Gospel Samurai. Which is not a Japanese sound. But they feel it. Yeah. End of story. No, I mean it. We're going to take a break. Roth. You're listening to David Lee Roth, The Roth Show. Roth Radio, and we're good to go. Broadcasting short distance from me to you. Reaching out and touching somebody. Don't look. Use my hand. I won't look. All right. I'm going to break my promise. It's not happy hour yet. It's happy hour somewhere, baby. Don't look. Throw that wristwatch away. And you can undo the seatbelts. I'm in charge. Uh-oh. Roth Radio. Welcome to the Roth Show. Friend. On the subject of names, Armin von Buuren contacted us and sent us the mix that he had made of the song Jump. And it's full blast floor. I'm hesitant to say, what is it? ED, trance, you might assign the wrong haircut and shoes to the name of the term I use. It's sort of like if I say Anna Nicole Smith, what phase are you thinking? Are you thinking early Anna, mid-phase Anna, or end-stage Anna? Elvis, which Elvis are you thinking? Elvis in the military, beginning Elvis, State Fair Elvis, or Vegas Elvis? In both cases, I prefer third stage. I'm a little dark, I'm a little twisted. Want to hear a paramedic joke? Hey, Tom, what's that up there in the road? Ahead? Stay tuned. We're going to take care of you. You're going to be okay. I'm talking to the audience, not you. Okay, where were we? Armin van Buuren. Every time I say Armin van Buuren, because of the way I was raised with Rinso and chasing Sanborn coffee and instant breakfast, I think of Armin Hammer. Armin Hammer van Buuren. Armin van Buuren should do a track called Hammer. And you'll just sort of get right into it. Does that make sense? It's an interesting name. He's got a brilliant track because it's Jump. And Jump transcends just purely athletic. Yes, that's the extensory right away. It's been a mainstay of aerobic and spin classes. Jump has been voted the #1 sports song of all time repeatedly during interweb grid votes and on television, Jim Murray sports votes and send in your cards and letters days and so forth. It's been covered by everybody from Aztec Camera to Paul Anka. All great. It was written with the spirit in mind. Jump, the pivotal part of the expression isn't jump. The pivotal part of the expression is might as well. And those three words have been responsible for the best adventures, the mightiest love affairs, and the biggest, most colossal fucking disasters in my life. Might as well. Really? Yeah, I might as well. I'll even say like this. Yeah, I might as well. That, just like that, how many times will reinform your life? And this is why we bother with 4-H Club, why we bother with our kids going to little dog shows, ballet for the kids, Boy Scouts, football, art class, whatever it is. The most important thing that you're going to learn from that is you can still do stuff pretty good even though you're scared. This may be the only thing you take away from it. But armed with that, you can get elephants over the ski lift. Like it says in the Bible. Elephants, right? In everything we do here, there's a little bit of wabi-sabi. Not wasabi, I had that at sushi last night at Nobu. I'll be back with your drinks in $80. And at Nobu, it's worth it. At Nobu, having visited the Tsukiji fish market at dawn in Tokyo, I'm not so much a foodie, but I love discussing it. Same as with music. I can discuss food endlessly. Maybe we'll do that. We'll do a David Lee Bourdain Anthony moment or whatever. And we'll go visit and then do food critique. If nothing else, it would be a great way to get service. Yeah, I'm going to review you. Of course, I've had I remember a young lady saying that to me right after happy hour, and it impacted my performance. I hurried too fast. Which is good when they're dropping off the barbecue, but bad when you're delivering the groceries. Careful, I have a poetic license and I'm not afraid to invoke it. David Lee Roth, I'm afraid I have a few questions. Please sit down. Back to names. And we were discussing, or I was discussing, and you were agreeing, or you were actually, Hey, I've been listening to the news. You know what's going on in Washington? There's five different views on every coin. There's heads, tails, the edge, who's in charge of the coin, who was watching the coin while it was in the wallet, whose wallet is that? It's endless. It's endless in these days of credits. It's not just who wrote the script, did the music, directed and produced. It's what kind of tree did the wood for that pencil come from, Tom? We'll write it down. Is that slave-free tree? I'm serious. Is that a free trade? And what kind of coffee were those slaves drinking, Tom? I do sound accusatory. I guess I have to be. You dig? And I'm not complaining. It's just the way of things. I never had an issue about sharing the credit, and that cost me millions. I shared the credit, for example, with publishing that most artists in my position don't. I wrote all the words and music, for example, for Van Halen. And usually you get, I shared mine with the rhythm section, and I shared it with management and Woody Woodpecker and Morticia. Not unwisely, I'm joking around, but I never had a big issue with who gets the credit. I always thought of it as collaborative. What really is an auteur? Who really even knows how to pronounce it? The French, but look how they spelled it. There's always a flaw, Tom. Or maybe they spell beautifully, but look how they pronounced it. The only auteur was probably Prince. Just one syllable. I could be Dave, but it's a little informal. How about being a verb? Sting? Cher? Usher? Just got the new issue of Billboard magazine. Hip hop rules the frame. Yo! Or the Yiddish version of yo, which is hello. So I get it. You dig? And, one of my favorites was, it goes all the way back to All Right when I saw it on the HBO series with Dwayne The Rock, Ballers. And the song All Right came on. Kendrick Lamar, right? But I just read where he has scored heavily, monopolized the dyslexic audience who think his name is Lamar Kendrick. And it's just as good. In some senses, I think if I was his agent, I represent Kenny Valentino. The very successful Kenny Valentino, okay? And I think that I can do the romance edge of this because Kendrick Lamar, that name sounds like where he is. Head down, what is it, the Harbor Freeway, 405. I know exactly. Orale, loco. And Kendrick, it snaps. Just like, it's industrial area. It's tough neighborhood. Barrio, you roll your R's. But Lamar, I see girls. At some point, if he wants to think romance, I can book Lamar Kendrick endlessly. What's in a name? I'm getting less, just as I'm getting shorter. I saw the Watkins team. Dr. Watkins, my back doctor. You got like 36 whatever they are in your back and your spine. And from jumping up, well, we don't talk about the other half of that, which is landing. The same thing in helicopters, usually, or careers, or mountaineering. It's always about the going up. Nobody talks about schlepping down the backside, okay? And from all of the, not so much, well, I would say all of the going up. No, it was all of the coming down and landing, which lands exponentially, or in terms of physics, G, it's exponential 6 times. When you corkscrew your fist, it's 6 times the impact, at point of impact. If you throw that punch from a foot away and you corkscrew, 6 times the impact. And when you land, wham, especially on Jesus, what used to be very unforgiving stage floors. We never had our own stage floors. So you're performing on all kinds of venues. The Circus Kroner in Cologne. I think the stage was from 1930, and it was ready to fight back for another 30. Whoa. And, long story short, no pun intended, I'm an inch and a quarter shorter. Started off around 6 feet and then kind of whittled things away. So it has its impact, yeah. However, there are some of my colleagues in front office, the world is controlled, and the titans of the world usually are right around 5'2", 5'4", right? Think of it like that. And I know a couple of Hollywood agents, in fact, who are very, in stature, not in business stature, but they're shorter, as if it's about 5'2", 5'4", and they weigh, commensurate with that height. Great men of respect. But what I'm thinking is I'll keep getting shorter. I'll lose the weight. And then, what are they, like welterweights or whatever? And then officially I'll kick their ass. The Roth Show, brought to you by Ink the Original. InkTheOriginal.com. Love those tattoos, baby. DavidLeeRoth.com. The Roth Show. Backed by popular demand. We're not just a show, baby.